Hey guys, welcome back to the Chat with Quabs. So I took a long hiatus from this topic and I'm coming right back into it because I think it's very important. It's our budget and our financial health. And I'm going to, in this video, actually show you a real budget. But I'm going to be using made up figures just to kind of give you an understanding of or an idea of what should go into your own budget. I was talking to some of my friends recently and they were talking about how financial planning is just a struggle and it's so stressful and they don't want to have to deal with it, but they understand why it's important. One of my friends even said she has a budget, she doesn't stick to it, and my heart was just, I was just like, guys, listen, we need to stay on top of this thing because I feel like the more discipline we have with managing our finances, the better our future is going to look like in terms of our money. Because we might be having a lot of money coming in that we can use properly, but if we don't know how to properly manage it, or we don't know what is going where and what is coming in, we're always going to be at a deficit, or we're going to always feel like we don't have enough, or we're going to just have a very unhealthy relationship with money. So my desire is really to give people some tools, and one of them is the budget, to just kind of stabilize that area and not make it such a big deal. It's not a big deal. It's just to give you control over your finances, basically. So I'm just going to switch screens to my laptop so you can see my laptop screen, and then from there kind of walk you through what the budget looks like and what you should put on your budget, what you should consider putting on your budget more so. So yeah, stay tuned for that. I'll be right back. Guys, here is a copy of a sample budget. Again, these are not my numbers, so don't get too excited. But basically, this is a budget that I just put together with some very simple, straightforward numbers to make the calculations easy to understand and to help us walk through this efficiently. I'm going to put a copy of the link to this document in my description box, so that for those of you who don't want to go through the hustle of creating your own budgets with all the formula and all of that, you can just insert your numbers into this particular budget, just tweak it according to what your specific needs are and go for it. But for those of you who want to do your own thing and make something that is suited for you but only want a template or information, then this is gonna help you. So let's get straight into it. This person who this budget is for is someone who earns $24,000 a year, and they are paid on a bi-monthly schedule. That means that on the 15th, this should be the 15th. I think I made it the 13th because the 15th is on a Sunday. So usually if the 15th or the 30th falls on a weekend, you get paid the Friday before. But that's just extra information. You don't need to know that. I just want to explain why that is the 13th. But essentially, the budget is divided according to the date that the person will be paid. So August 15th, August 30th, September 13th, September 30th, accordingly, right? And then the y-axis is showing, so the y-axis is this one, is showing the categories that this budget is going to be divided into. So this is just like a full face immediate look. When you see someone's the person's budget, this is what it looks like, just everything on there. That means that they've already done their projections into the future and all of that. But I'm going to show you how they actually put in the numbers on a separate page, and I'm going to focus on the month of August and September and show you how the person reasoned through the calculations, show you how the calculations are made, etc. This person, as I said, is paid $24,000 a year. That means that they get paid $24,000 a year on a bi-monthly schedule. That means that they get paid $1,000 every payment schedule. So every 15th and 30th of the month, they get paid $1,000. So this should be the 13th. Whatever. Just the details, right? Okay. The first category for me is tithe. Again, this is optional for those people who don't believe in paying your tithe, but I personally do believe that everyone should pay 10% of their tithe to their church. You might not be a Christian, so this might not apply to you, but even if you're not a Christian, do it. It's a good principle to have. You will definitely never lack financially. Anyway, I don't want to go on a tangent. So the first category is tithe, and I believe it's 10%. So basically what you're going to do is that in this cell over here, just type the equal to sign and then 10%, which is essentially 0.1 times, and then you can just click on your income cell over here. It will do the calculations automatically for you, and then you get equal to, you do equal to, and then you get 100. So everything that is going to be coming out of your account, basically money that you're spending, is in red, and then the money that is coming in is in blue. So you see your income is blue, actual income, which means it's basically, I'll explain that as I go along, but everything in blue is money that you have, everything in red is money that is leaving your account. Okay, so this is $100. However, if you're going to calculate your actual income, which means that you don't have $100 out of the $1,000 in your account, this is simple math, but just bear with me because I'm trying to create a picture, right? So because you want to be able to subtract, some people will basically do this minus this and get the answer that they want. However, I think it makes sense, right? Me personally, the way I like to do it is to just add everything. So what I do is I usually make this negative over here so that my calculation would automatically be a negative, right? So it says over here negative 100, and then what I do is I sum up from the income to the tithe to get my actual account. And you understand why I like to do it that way, because when you come to this section, you have so many expenses that are coming out that it just makes sense to make the figures in this cell negative and then sum it up so that you get your net income amount quickly, rather than going through each of them and subtracting. But basically that's the reasoning behind that calculation method. So moving on to taxes, you cannot avoid your taxes. You're going to have to pay taxes. I always encourage people to look at the trend of how much you're paying in taxes and then use that amount to foretell how much you pay in taxes in the future. Typically, I pay about 17%, so I'm going to use that, assume that this person is also going to be paying 17% in tax, right? So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do the equal to sign, negative again, guys, because I want to have my negatives already, the numbers being negative, so when I sum them up, they'll subtract automatically. So 17% is 0.17 times, I'm going to multiply by the actual income, because your tax is going to come out of your full income. It's not going to come out of what's actually left. Everything else will come out of what's actually left, but your tithe and your tax should come out of your actual income. Okay, I hope this makes sense. So press your equal to sign and do the same thing that I did. So over here, you just do a sum of actual income to tax, and then you get what your disposable income is. So your disposable income, it means the money that after all the expenses that you cannot control have come out, that's the money that you have to spend, right? So you can't control your tax. Your tax is a fixed amount. You can't control your tithe, it's a fixed amount. So this is the part that you can basically control, right? So let's get into this part. I have categorized them according to must-have. So this box over here until the black line over here, this represents your must-haves. These are your essentials, right? These are the things you need to survive, basically. Your rent, your utilities, Wi-Fi, transportation, etc. Then in this category is your savings. This is basically you paying yourself. Although it's coming out of your income, this is you paying yourself for the future. So this is a very important part. I don't want you guys to neglect this. We'll get into that a little later. This part is the debt that you owe, because if you owe debt, if you owe money, you need to pay it off. You don't own that part. That money is not yours. So the faster you pay it off, the more money you have in your account, right? So this is the part that will cater to that. And then donations could also symbolize miscellaneous. I put donations over there because, guys, I always encourage people to give, but you can use it for whatever you want to do. That's not my business, but just have at the back of your mind that you have a miscellaneous box. You can also, come on, I don't want you guys to see this. You can also expand it and include more items in that category, so that, for example, fund money, travel money, or travel fund, whatever you're trying to save towards, or whatever you want to spend your money on. You can also insert more tabs like this. You can just insert one above. I mean, do all the formatting and etc. to get it to look the way you want it to look, but then you can add more figures over there. But anyway, let's get straight into the numbers. these are all made up numbers. So I'm gonna start with this person. This person, let's say, pays rent of $400 every month, right? But they decide that they want to split the 400 up by their 2 paychecks. So they'll pay 200 this payment cycle, and then they'll pay 200 the next payment cycle. So that will be $400 a month, right? Mind you, these numbers are the same. A smart way or a fast way to do it is by just dragging this blue square over here. Wait till you see that cross and then just drag. Essentially, it will just copy. I think you can just, yeah. Okay, anyway, so that's that. And then let's assume that this person pays $50 in utility every month, and they decide that in the from the August 15th paycheck, they'll take out their $50. And then they pay Wi-Fi $50 every month. So they decide they want to take that amount out of their August 30th paycheck, because obviously you have to be smart about where your money is coming out of, so you have enough money in each pay cycle to pay off your expenses. So they can decide that, okay, utilities will come out of this paycheck, and then Wi-Fi will come out of that paycheck. Let's say phone bill is $60, so they'll take it out of August 15th paycheck. Groceries, they want to spend $50 on groceries every pay cycle, so they'll do this for the first 2 weeks, and then this amount for the second 2 weeks. Then gas, if you have a car, this is essential. If you don't have a car, then you can just take this out. But for those who have a car, $20 in gas for your first 2 weeks, $20 in gas for your second 2 weeks, right? And then transportation, I think everybody will have this expense at some point. So just put in the number $50. This is just a general number. $50 for the first 2 weeks, $50 for the second 2 weeks. Okay. Now moving on to the savings section, right? So you have a savings account and you want to just send some money into your savings account. Get a savings account that has a high interest rate. Don't just leave your money in the bank without it gaining any interest. But that's by the way. Anyway, savings accounts, let's say you take out $75 from your paycheck, from each paycheck, right? So $75 from the August 15th, $75 from the August 30th. Your investments, right? So you have an investment account like Stash or Acorn or Robinhood or whatever is out there, or a mutual fund, whatever. So you say $25 every paycheck, right? Oh, 25. And then an emergency fund. Everyone should have an emergency fund. An emergency fund is basically somewhere where you're saving money just in case emergencies come up. So things you didn't expect, like for example, maybe something breaks in your phone breaks, or your car tire burst, or something just unexpected, like you fall sick and you need to pay some doctor bills. You didn't expect that. So this fund is going to cater to that. So you're just creating that money just in case anything comes up, so that you're not caught off guard without the money to pay for unexpected emergencies. So let's say $25 goes into that. $25 to go into that. I can do another video to talk more about like savings, investments, emergency fund, all of those things, go into detail a little bit more. I don't want this video to be too long, that's why I'm kind of rushing through it, but I hope it makes sense. Okay, so now that you're done with your savings, you can go into your credit card and your debt section, right? So let's say your credit card bill is $25 every month, so you're paying off the minimum $25 every month, right? Or it's $50 every month, but you're paying $25 every paycheck. So student loans, $150 every month, so you decide that you pay $75 every paycheck, so that you're not like spending too much in one paycheck and not having enough during that particular pay period. So once you have that in there, then in your donations or miscellaneous items, I don't know, whatever you want to put in there, let's say you spend $20, right? $20 each payment cycle or each paycheck. So that is that over there. Now you understand why I use negatives instead of just subtracting, because it's just going to take so long because of all of these figures. This is so many numbers over here. So what I usually do is that I enter my formula, basically sum, and I sum my money, disposable income, and all my expenses up to this point. So basically all of the red is going to be subtracted from my disposable income, which is the blue, and then that will give me my net income, which is just money that I have that I can do or spend on whatever I want to spend it on. So you do the same thing over here, right? From the disposable income all the way down to your last red here. So this is your total. This is basically money that you have in your pocket that you can do with whatever with. You've paid off all your important expenses. You've saved. You've paid yourself. You've paid off your debtors, and then you've spent the money on the important things that you're trying to spend it on. And now this is what you have left. You have $55 in your August 15th paycheck, and then you have $115 in your August 30th paycheck. Look at how much money you actually have after you've done all of these important things. So you have more money than a lot of us would have thought we did if we were just spending without a budget, right? Okay, now let's say you have these subscriptions that you pay for every month, and it's not important. These things can shift. You can decide to cancel your Spotify or your Netflix subscription or whatever or other subscription that you have anytime. So that's why I've placed them in this area, because they're not must-haves, right? You can ideally end your budget over here and say this is how much money you have. However, because you do have monthly payments, you have to keep track of those monthly payments. Obviously, it will make sense for that payment to come out of this paycheck, because you have a lot more in this paycheck to spend on other things, right? So let's say your Spotify is $9.99, and then your Netflix is $14.99. I think that's what it is. I don't even know how much Netflix is. So let's do what we've been doing, right? You just sum. Obviously, there's nothing in these cells over here, so the sum is going to be $55. That's what you have at the end of this paycheck. And then at the end of this paycheck, you have $90 to spend. Look at that. So you have $90 to spend on whatever you want to spend, on going out for lunch or dinner with your friends, or buying new clothes, or anything you want to spend. But basically, you have a clear snapshot of what your money is looking like in the month of August, right? So you know that ideally things won't change. So you can basically just copy all of this and paste it in this month's cycle, right? Which is, so assuming that your salary doesn't change and all your expenses don't change, September is going to look the same. But the reason why a budget is good is because if you have at the back of your mind that, oh, maybe in September my utilities are going to go down for some reason. I don't know why utilities will ever go down, but let's say they do. You're going to be spending $40. Look, now you have $65 in your account. That means you have more money. Or let's say, for example, you finish paying off your credit card on September 13th, right? You finish that last payment. So now you don't have any credit card payments anymore. So now you take that out in your September 30th paycheck and see your leftover money goes up from your August 30th paycheck. So do you understand why it's important to have a budget? It helps you to look at your current expenses and say, this is how much is coming out of my account every 2 weeks or every month. And so I know that at the end of the 2 weeks or month, this is how much I have to spend, or this is how much I'm spending on several different things. And maybe you can decide, I wish I had more money in my account, right? So what can I do to adjust that to make sure that I get more money in my account? One option is maybe I increase my income. So let's say that you get a side hustle September 30th and you make $500 more. That means that your income is going to go up by $500. So now you see, you get a side hustle, you get more money in your account. Look at what is happening. Look at what has happened to your bottom line. Your bottom line has gone up. That means you have more money in your account. That means you can decide that, okay, now I want to have $200 in my savings, right? Even with that, you still have more money to spend on other things. So that's why it's important to have a budget. Now, let's say I'm going to go back and, go back to what we originally had and create another scenario. So let's say, for example, you decide, okay, I might not be able to get a new job, but I can maybe cut down on my groceries. So if I cut down on my groceries for the month of September, I can get more money, right? So let's say you decide that I'm going to spend $20 less. So my groceries are going to cost $30, right? Now you see that you have more money in your account because you saw that, maybe I was spending too much money on groceries. I can cut that out. So I get $30. I pay $30 instead of $50. I can save $40 for the month of September, and then I can have more money to spend on other things. So that's one way to look at it. Another way to look at how to get more money in your account is making sure that you pay off your debt. Let me move on to this monthly budget because I created a scenario in there so you can see kind of what happens if eventually you start paying off your debt, right? So this person by September 13th, they finish paying off their credit card loan. So they don't have any credit card to pay off on September 13th. That means that their saving $25 has gone up into the account. Have you seen the difference between August 30th and September 30th? So that happens. They have this extra money in their account even on October 15th, October 30th. And then by November 15th, they've paid off their student loans. So now they have $100 that is going straight into their pockets, right? And so they have all of this extra money in their account that they can use on other things. So now this person says, oh, I have so much more money in my pocket. Now I want to put it in my investment, right? So I'm going to put $75 in my investments. Now they are paying themselves more money, but they still have some more money left over compared to what they had at the beginning of August, right? So this is why it's important, guys, when I say that having a budget, because you're able to plan for your future in this way and say, oh, I can cut things down, or I can, increase the money that is coming in so that I have more in my pockets at the end of the day. That's one way to look at your budget. Another way to look at your budget is to say, oh, this is how much I can spend on rent. Because if I start spending too much money on rent, and let's say my rent goes up to $300, right, or to $600, and so I divide it by 2 paychecks, that means I'm paying $300 every paycheck. Now you're struggling, because now look, your leftover money is a lot less than what you'd have had. So then you start by thinking, okay, so if I want to have this amount of money in my pocket, my rent should be about $400. So then when you're doing your research on places to live, you think about how much you're willing to pay so that you can actually survive and enjoy some money in your pocket, so that you're not living from hand to mouth. You can do that with your phone bill. You can be like, my phone bill is too high. I don't need to be spending this much money on my phone, etc., etc. I think I'm going on and I'm harping on this point, but I am just trying to make a case for why a budget is important. So I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the description, in the comment section below. Also, just note that I will be happy to look at your budget and help you tweak it according to what your needs are. And so you can reach out to me and be like, hey, Crystal, listen, I have a budget, but it's not working for me. And we can talk about it, and I can help you put in the numbers, get your life together basically, and have a budget that is going to help you take control of your money. So this is it for now. I can get into this and do a little bit more detailed videos about budgets. I did say I'm going to talk about savings and investments and all of that in a later video, but I just wanted to give you a good idea of what it is, looking at actual numbers, not just verbally saying it, but like looking at it practically, right? Okay, so this is the end of my little demonstration, basically. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope this was helpful. I hope this gave you some tools, some insight into what you should put on your budget, and kind of demystify the whole budget thing. It's really not that difficult. It's just really figuring out what your inflow and your outflow is, right? You don't want to just be spending money unnecessarily without even knowing what's coming in and what's going out. Just basically trying to give you some sense of how to control your money and how to manage it properly. Okay, so comment in the comment section below. Let me know what your thoughts are. As always, share, let other people know that there are some good resources out here that can help them, and but more importantly, subscribe. Okay, we're trying to get to, I think, 200. I hope I now would have passed 200, but we're trying to get to 200. Love you guys. Bye.